Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel and welcome to the review that I was never really going to do, and it's of the Cleveland RTX 6 wedge, Zipcore wedge. Now why don't I'm not necessarily picking on the Cleveland RTX 6 wedge, but why don't I like doing wedge reviews? Well, it's different to a iron review, a driver review, a fairway or hybrid review, in the fact that yes, you have different lofts, so they're designed to go different distances, but effectively you're testing that golf club. When it comes to a wedge, putter also, but especially a wedge, we are talking about bounce. The bounce angle is the angle of the sole, and that will suit many different types of people. And then you've got something else, grind. And anyone who knows Vokey as a wedge manufacturer will know the amount of grinds that they have and the amount of lofts and bounce options that they have. And so it is designed within a wedge to have those options to suit every single possible range of golfers' needs and requirements. Now, when you're watching a YouTube review of a wedge of the RTX 6, for example, you're not really seeing how good this wedge is. What you're seeing is how good the YouTube reviewer in question is with their short game. And so if you were to go give the same golf club that's in the hands of this well-known YouTuber that has been hitting every single shot 2 inches from the pin, and you give this to Dave, the 32 handicapper who's just started playing golf, you give that same golf club, which is hitting golf balls 2 inches from the hole, to Dave, and poor old Dave will scull it, fat it, chunk it, blade it, and just not do any good with the golf club. So it is much so about the individual skill set than it is the golf club. So why am I doing a review of RTX 6 wedge from Cleveland? Now, when I'm doing editing and I'm waiting for a wonderful little blue bar to go across when it's rendering, etc., exporting, and I've got a few minutes, what I'll do is I'll go to the hitting area and I'll just basically chip or hit a few shots and stuff like that. And here, what I've got on the hitting area is effectively putting grass, and so it's very tight. It's a surface which means that strike has to be absolutely precise. It's the classic bear lie that you get on a golf course, the hard pan lie where every person's bottom goes 50p, 5p, 50p, 5p when they are looking at a shot which could easily chunk or easily thin. Strike is key, and so that's what that surface is. So I've got the 56 degree, it's the low plus option at 8 degrees, and so we'll go into the specifications as such, because obviously when it comes to a manufacturer, Cleveland offers multiple grinds, bounce options and loft, and we'll go into that in a sec, but that's the one I've got. And because it's a low plus, it is fairly low bounce at 8 degrees, so my leading edge is not going to be too high off the face, especially if I start opening the face up. And because it has got quite a bit of grind on it's like a C grind on the sole, I can use manipulation of the head, either open but lowering the handle so the heel then sits down, or doing the same thing but the other way around, open the face up but then raising the handle, and so it lays on the toe area and it makes the leading edge drop a little, and so you've got a little bit of versatility, so you can open the face up and give yourself a bit more loft without the bounce riding the leading edge up and on a tight surface that I've got, really getting myself in blade trouble. That's what I found myself doing. I have found myself gravitate to this. Now on their website, the RTX 6 is packed full of tech, we'll call it. And we won't go through every single thing because there's no real point on there, because it's obviously marketing as such that they fill these golf clubs with everything. They do say they've got the Hydro Zip finish, which is effectively just trying to get water away from the face so we can try and keep the stability of spin. Now again, there's this going on about spin and wet conditions, etc. There's some people that believe one thing, some people will believe the other. You've also got max spin any condition, and what that means is actually, and again I can't see this, on the website you can see there that in between the grooves, and depending on what lofts you have, there are slight tiny little laser etched lines, and they are designed to add some extra spin, etc. Now I'll be honest, I've been looking at this and I don't want to get a microscope out, but I can't see them, but I don't doubt that they are there. What I'm saying is that they are that small, and my aging eyes cannot see them, but they are there, and they differ depending on what loft you have in your hands. We have got the Zipcore, that's all about centre of gravity changing, etc. We won't bore you, but again I can stick up on the screen. And then you have the Ulti-Zip, What every manufacturer is doing, and this is not just Cleveland, every manufacturer is doing this, they're trying to literally eke out every single little bit of spin that you can potentially or possibly get from a head. Now remember, grooves, depth of grooves, etc. has been governed and been governed for quite some time, so really there's nothing more they can do with that, but there's nothing to say that you can't make the face surface itself more abrasive. Now yes, for the people out there saying that what happens when this very thin surface gets worn through use, will the spin come off? And of course it will, but of course that's when you have to then buy another wedge. Let's talk about the sole grinds, etc. I have got the low plus here. They do make, on the bounce, they make the low plus, mid and full. And effectively within reasons. The low one is for firmer conditions, smaller divot size, so you're more of a picker than you are a digger. The C-shaped design when it comes to the sole, and it's what I've similarly got on this one. This is the low plus, but the low plus exactly the same as the low. And basically what that means is you've got the heel and toe relief. Rather than having a full amount of bounce, it's been shaved off at the heel and toe and allows the golf club to be manipulated in lie, and then to try and keep the loft that you've got on there, but also try and keep the leading edge lower to the ground. And the low is available in lofts of 58 to 60 degrees, and of course you can see it's got 6 degrees of bounce, which is low. Yeah, I wouldn't use a 6-degree bounce unless, well, there's got to be very few occasions I'll ever use a 58 or 60 degree with that low bounce. But I've got the low plus here. It's still for firmer conditions. It's still for a smaller divot size. It is more of a shallower angle attack. Yes, you shouldn't necessarily, I wouldn't say shouldn't, but as a pattern, if you are more of a digger, then you would then gravitate, generally speaking, to more of an aggressive, heavier angled bounce. But again, everyone's unique. Again, so that's when it comes to these things. I would not go buy anything I'm talking about now. I would not buy any wedge whatsoever based on what manufacturers say on their website. Especially wedges, you really, really do need to make sure that you get custom fit properly for these, because again, this is a world within itself. You've got this full swing, which is one thing. In the short game, you've possibly got every single thing you could ever learn in the full swing and probably putting, but just in short game. It is that field of different options that you can have. And of course, you change your technique, then you change the requirement for your wedges. And this is available in lofts of 54 and 56, and I've got the 56 here, and it's 8 degree of bounce. So you go to the mid. They're saying the mid one is more generalized use, should we say, and I would necessarily agree with that. A mid option is a good idea for someone who hasn't got a really very, very good control of low point. Divot size is average. You're not a shallow person, you're not a digger either. And then also you can see by the sole design, it's more of a V rather than a C, so there is some relief there, but not a great deal, and that's between lofts of 46 and 60. So you have got the potential, should you wish, to have this grind in your pitching wedge all the way through to your lob wedge. And then it finishes off with a full. The full there is, as you can see, no grind whatsoever. It is just a full amount of bounce over the entire sole plate. You have this kind of design for a much softer conditions, or you are very much so more steeper angle of attack, so you're prone to taking very big divots. It's a traditional sole design and lofts of 54 to 60, 12 degrees of bounce. And then you have also in there your grind comparisons, Titleist and Callaway and TaylorMade and Ping and stuff like that as an idea. Got also some Mizuno ones on there at the bottom, the SD, C and X grinds as well. When you're looking at this as a golf club, for me personally, I really like using this wedge for short chips, short pitches, little flop shots, shots where you have to manufacture something. The feeling off this wedge when you're doing small shots, chips very much so, pitches, small pitches, is lovely, absolutely lovely. And I would use this wedge all day long if I only used it for short stuff. The only thing is that I found that when I'm hitting it bigger, I'm hitting up more of my fuller yardage that I would expect, say, from a 56. It just feels a bit, well, I won't say clunky. It doesn't feel clunky. Clunky is wrong, and it just probably disservices the golf club. But compared to how it feels using it in the short game environment, and then using it off the fairway into a green, it does feel a little bit more sharper in its contact. Now, again, we are talking about feel, and feel is massively subjective, and it will change depending on the golfer. Some golfer will like this and like something completely different. But I come from a forged wedge, and so it feels soft, generally speaking, everywhere that you use it. So comparatively, when you're doing this with short game, short stuff, this is brilliant. And for me, I just like something that feels a little bit different into the fuller shots, but I mean, again, that's just subjective anyway. Looks on this thing, again, it's a bladed wedge, but this is a really nice looking wedge. I mean, again, sole thicknesses, etc., depending on what grind you've got and what bounce options you've got. It's a medium thick-ish sole. We are not talking, it's not a mega thick sole. Remember, sole width and bounce and the grind is an effective bounce. As soon as you start manipulating the face open and closed, depending on how much bounce you've got, and more importantly, the width of the sole, or the more effective width of the sole with the bounce and grind that you've got, the more bounce gets added. And so that number's always a changing figure if you're someone who likes twisting loft on the golf club. Top lines, again, it's thinner-ish, but with all manufacturers, you can see the top blade part is slightly thicker because they're trying to move center of gravity. With all the wedge manufacturers that specialize in these kind of things, they know full well that by having that massive chunk of weight down the bottom there, they will be drawing the center of gravity of that golf club really low. And by doing so, you have the center of gravity much, much lower than the golf ball itself, which will propel the golf ball up in the air, but it will also have a certain propensity to want to reduce the spin level. So what you're finding there with the thickness of the blade at the top, they're trying to drag center of gravity up the face a little bit. And so when you're hitting shots, you're not getting that balloon flight, you are getting that more of a controlled trajectory, but also increase as much as possible the spin that you're going to get. Again, when it comes to wedges, the war of spin has been waged for quite some time, and if you can get one manufacturer that spins a few hundred RPM more than another manufacturer at a full speed with a 58 lob wedge, and we are talking about 11,000 RPM, the 200 RPM matter. No, they don't, but from a war of spin, yes, it does. You can custom build these, obviously, like with everything else. You can adjust the length of these by plus to minus 2 inches. Yeah, that's 2 inches. That's a big adjustment. Lie adjustments can go from flat to 2 degrees to up by 3 degrees upright. And then you've got loft of plus and minus 2 as well. And you can also hard and soft step your shafts if you are that way inclined with that. Custom grips you've also got in there. I'll put that up on the screen so you can have a look. I won't go through all those bits and pieces. And of course you have some custom shafts as well. Now, it hasn't got all the shafts available, but again, if you know what your custom fit is, pretty certain you'll find something which is relatively close to your specification with the ones that they have got on offer. So what do you think of the new RTX 6 wedge? It's been out for a little while now, and generally speaking, yes, I was not going to do a review of wedges because, again, you see me hit shots in the simulator, you see anyone hit shots on the grass, you see people chip it really close, and you'll get their feedback from them. That's got nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the golf club in question, and has got everything to do with the ability of that reviewer and their short game prowess. And so hence why I do not like doing wedge reviews, because again, it's very, very difficult to actually get a good understanding and ascertain exactly how good these wedges are. More so with any wedges, you've got to make sure you get custom fit properly for your wedges, because depending on how you deliver the golf club, if you're quite downward angle attack and you take big divots and you've got this and you've got that, all these different types of options, you've got a decent pro who knows how to fit wedges, also knows how to look at your technique as well. You can most probably blend a perfect set of requirements of loft, bounce and grind to allow you to have as much versatility within your wedge game as possible, allow you to play all those shots that you like, those flop shots that every amateur loves to use, which they shouldn't do at all, but they do. And they also give you all the options outside of bunkers as well. So, hope you liked the video. If you did, go on, thumbs up, YouTube likes, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button, and it's free, and it's great for the channel if you could subscribe, so thank you. And next to that is a bell icon. That is a notification bell, and if you click that one, that will notify you next time I upload another video. So I hope you're well, and we'll see you again soon.